Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Hope you had a great weekend. Well, it's been pretty busy as far as security is concerned. It started, middle of last week, and here we are now talking in particular about offensives, military offensives in Lagos and Ogun states. Talking about dislodging pipeline vandals, and some militants from the area. This is after talks had failed. So, now, as we are told by the authorities, the offensive was to flush out pipeline vandals and militants operating at places like Ishawo in Ikorodu and Igondo areas of Lagos, as well as Arepo, Awa, Elekpete, and Ibafo areas of Ogun State. And apparently, from reports, it was a pretty successful campaign, although we don't know what successful means in this case, because here we are, we're deploying such lethal force within our own country. It's not an external war. It's unfortunate that matters have gotten to this pass. And people are beginning to wonder that, well, might this have been something of a dress rehearsal, taking this problem out? And it's still continuing, by the way. There's still mop-up going on as we speak from yesterday. Might this be something of a dress rehearsal for dislodging recalcitrant militants also in the Niger Delta? As you know, last week we were speaking about this particular topic, and we were hoping that we could find a talk way, a Georgia way, as opposed to a war way around this problem. Okay, let's look at the progress being made by the military and JTF in sort of bringing things back to normal. We have with us Colonel Hassan Stanlabo, retired, a security consultant. Thank you very much, Colonel.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
And Dr. Amadele Boyo. Well, he's a public affairs analyst, and if you wanted to know, he's also a medical doctor, but I put I put public affairs analyst in front. Thank you very, very much for coming on, Amadele. Let me start with you, Colonel.
Yeah, please.
The kind of force, I had to go look for the meaning of GPMG when I read the report that the Air Force boss said that they even went as far as mounting a GPMG on one of their boats. I was a bit relieved when I found that GPMG is a general purpose machine gun. So I said, okay, it's not a weapon of mass destruction or anything. But still, there's something about the attitude of the enemy. They're not rolling over and dying. They're not taking it easy. They're actually trying to fight back. They actually attempted to fire at Nigeria Air Force plane. So it shows that it probably wasn't a walkover. It wasn't a tea party.
Yeah, in the first place, we refer to them as adversaries because they are...
Adversaries?
Yes, they're not enemies.
Okay, enemies would be outside of the country.
Fine. The adversary is well equipped too. This Arepo business is not something that is just starting today.
It isn't.
Even way back while I was still in the military, I was overseeing OP Mesa here in Lagos for about 3 years, 2008 to 10. I know how much of engagement we had with these people. Daytime, night engagements, and so on. The fact of the matter is that for every day that passes, they build on their armory. They enhance their position because they too are looking ahead, knowing that greater forces would always come forth to encounter them. More so with the sort of information that has been sent forth, okay, which gets crystallized as intelligence and is being used. However, I want to say this is the very first time I would say that maybe government is garnering the political will to square up with these guys. Maybe it is because the economy is down and we have no other option.
And there's an aspect in which these people are seen as economic saboteurs.
Of course, they are saboteurs. Of course. There is no other. They are saboteurs. You can't continue to destroy our strategic infrastructure and think we shall just keep looking at you, when all efforts will be made to even bring you to the negotiating table. Government has tried as much as possible to extend the frontiers of negotiations to accommodate nearly everyone.
So they've used the carrot and stick approach. That is it. If the carrot is not working as well as it should,
that is it. Then government has no option
than to.
Of course, you can't strangulate the nation.
Amadele, do you think this is as should be? People talk about intelligence, and maybe, what do you think?
Yeah, over the years, if you, like you said, this didn't start yesterday. And the problem we have in this country is to allow things to fester. Ordinary sores become gangrene when they're allowed to fester without being treated. Conspiracy theories had it that some years back, these guys were just pipeline vandals. And their job was just to, suck 50 liters of fuel in jerry cans, and later they were able to sell this to, as it were, policemen and security agents. Those ones were buying from them. And with time, they would find out it was so lucrative that they started they started getting tanker loads. Before you know it, some of these guys now run filling stations.
Yes.
So filling stations are buying from them. No more going to, what's it called now? To load at Ejigbo or, you can just go there and then it's free. It's free.
Well, I don't know how free it is, because among the things that are coming out in the reports is that filling stations, petrol filling stations along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway are being watched by the military because they are their customers and are buying for them at a reduced price. Is the allegation.
The idea of opening up a pipeline itself is not easy, because it can, just say, and you've seen other places where pipelines have destroyed people. But these guys have also developed technology now of busting the pipeline and being able to get the petrol out of the pipeline and then be able to divert it into tankers. What started at 50-liter jerry cans. Yes. So over the years, they were able to survive because they got into their pocket. They got into the pockets of the security agencies, and the security agencies compromised. So they were having what you can call a field day. And of course, when you sell these things and you make money, you invest the money into protecting yourself. So these guys are not just making money and building houses. They went into other sinister things. Some of them started raping. After a while, when they found out the policemen could not do this. And of course, after a while, the raping stopped because more women of easy virtues moved in from various parts of the country to those areas. And they became like joints, like big-time hubs. And people now went there, and these things became commercial ventures. And when they were able to get the security agents in their pockets, the government at a stage, which is what was calling Operation Mesa and others, started moving the security agents often. So they weren't going to stay there too long as to be compromised. It is this issue of moving security agents often and bringing in the military and keeping them there for 3-4 months that made it very difficult for this trade to continue. At this stage, they felt that they were not getting people that they could compromise anymore. They decided to declare total war on the people that were there. The people that were there were not able to do a good job because they were not being compromised. They were able to say, look, you can't continue with this thing again. Like I said, most of the other Muslim and others, once you open this pipeline, the pressure of the products begin to come down, and you cannot get these products at the pressure you take to get to Ejigbo again. And beyond that is the amount they were taking. These guys that started taking 15 liters are now taking 30,000 liters.
In fact, thank you very much, Amadili. In fact, you see, when you look at it, Colonel, the reports say that they've gotten so sophisticated that the pipelines, NNPC pipelines, are above the ground. But so they've breached them in such a way that it doesn't show it's been done. And a lot of work and seriousness went into it. Now they are able to siphon, never mind 50-liter jerry cans, into their own boreholes. I mean, that is an elaborate operation. They say they put a borehole about 1 or 2 miles away from the place, and so it's siphoning, so they don't need to be carrying jerry.
So the ordinary mind, yes, when you see the way these guys operate with what you've just described, you wouldn't even know that, look, that's right, this connection is leading to an illegal, you would think it's all NNPC arrangement, and you just go away.
Those are the kind of things that are going on.
And the issue of culpability should not just be rest at the doorstep of the security agencies. If you see what these guys are doing, especially where we have multiple
points.
Multiple pipelines running.
Okay.
How do you identify this is for PMS, this is for kerosene, this is for gas, this is for this?
Unless you are...
You must have insiders in NNPC knowledge who will tell you what to do. Now,
that's another aspect of it.
Of course.
It's not just the military...
I'm telling you, I've been involved in this thing for long. Mind you, it is not 24 hours that NNPC pumps. How do these guys get to know when they are pumping? They don't pump for 24 hours. Yeah. There are times when you stop pumping on this pipeline to allow for social product to flow in the other pipeline and so on. They have a fantastic knowledge of all what goes on. So they know when to be on site and when not to be on site.
Yeah.
So you as a security agent who is completely ignorant of these operations, you remain there for 24 hours. At times you are just wasting your time.
So now
these are details.
These are part of the details that maybe the public didn't know. And finally, the military and JTF said, we've had it up to here. And I hear, reading the reports, that the militants and pipeline vandals, all of those guys, have now moved, excuse me, deeper into the creeks, which I understand the passway is quite narrow. They felled trees to make it even more difficult. Yeah. And now they've withdrawn sufficiently into the interior that the military has decided that the only way to do this is precision bombing, whatever that is, and then the ground troops move in and sort of mop up. And sort of mop up. And it seems, the whole thing seems to be a very delicate operation because those planes, I don't know how well suited they are for the operation that they are doing. Maybe you need to fly low, maybe you need a certain kind of aircraft in order to do precision bombing, you want to keep collateral damage down. All these are factors because when the authorities, military authorities, were asked for casualty figures, the stock in trade answer that is received is that we can't be too definite about that yet.
Of course.
Which therefore means that it's not a joke.
Of course, and whoever was giving that information was quite correct, except if you've never been involved in an operation. You can't just be done with an operation and then you want to give a casualty figure, especially on the part of the adversary. It's not possible until after the entire operation is done and then some cleanup action goes on and then you identify all that. It's not possible. You can only probably account for your own troops.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
Let us be fair.
Yes.
And talking about what you just said also, the military or the guys involved are professionals. They know what plane to move into there, they know what equipment to use and so on. Rules of engagement are being followed.
Okay.
And I can assure you a fine, good professional job is being done. However, we cannot outrule collateral damage in a situation like this. But the idea is that the military intends to keep it as low as possible.
Okay.
More so, even the rules of engagement, you know, drives the process along that line and things like that, you know.
But that's where I may have to come in because, yes, because at the end of the day, by the time the military starts using bombs within its own territory, it begins to draw a lot of concern because if you notice, well, the effect of bombing is surrounding involves ecological damage to as well, polluting of water resources, killing of fishes and things like that. Yes. And even these human beings that are killed, we don't know how the bodies will be disposed of. And but you see, I know, like we say, these things need drastic steps to be taken. But if you read most of the reports, bombing at night became very difficult because the types of planes that are being used could not be used at night. So those planes had to come very low. And that's where these gunboats were able to attack effectively and deal with them and deal with some of the. So I believe that before the military got to the point of these extreme measures, they must have also felt the impact of the retaliatory process of the militants themselves, because at times action and reaction are equal and opposite. When you decide to just go and just attack a target, the way they respond back to you can determine that, look, these people are not just ordinary rascals. If you remember, if you watched the program during the days of Igondo and the pipeline disruption, it was the civil defense that used to go there. Police and civil defense, and you carry some people with 100 jerry cans in a pickup. They say they've arrested. Now this thing has gone beyond that. It's $1 million or billion naira investment now. So they have found that these people
because they're able to smuggle the products out. So in some cases, not just all over the country, but beyond the Nigerian shores to some African countries.
Yes, through ships. So they have found that. Yes.
Sorry, Omadili. Let's just refresh ourselves. Let's listen again to the press briefing, press statement that came from the Rear Admiral Ferguson Bopai. there seems to be a bit of a mix-up. I thought we would be having the press statement by Rear Admiral Ferguson Bopai. Are we to wait for that?
Initially had to fly some surveillance Air Force aircrafts to gather important information concerning their activities, the location of these shanties and camps, and we sat down and analyzed the videos. We were able to pinpoint some areas that we needed to destroy. And we had to get back to CDS that the best way we can take out these targets is by the use of air power. We initially had to fly some surveillance Air Force aircrafts to gather important information concerning their activities, the location of these shanties and camps, and we sat down and analyzed the videos. We were able to pinpoint some areas that we needed to destroy. And we had to get back to CDS that the best way we can take out these targets is by the use of air power.
Well, so there we have it, very much in line with what we've been talking about. But that's just the official perspective. And as the Admiral says, they had decided that they have to take out, the militants in this area. Now, as you know, let us recall that there also is the potential in a worst-case scenario for it to become something like this in the Niger Delta, even though everybody's keeping their fingers crossed and hoping that we can avoid that. Colonel, give me your impressions. With George joining, some statements came out from, men that would appear to be positive towards sort of a resolution, things like releasing Orca, Henry Orca, Charles Orca, some other related matters. But coming back to the whole matter of whether or not force might be deployed in the Niger Delta, I hear that there's a camp that's not too far from, where is it now? In Otuoku or something like that in Bayelsa State, to see the big wigs, the top guns in the army have gone there to check out the camps to see that everything is ready if it is needed. Are you optimistic that we won't need to go as far as this, which is going to be on something of a larger scale over in Niger Delta?
I'm an optimist, but my optimism is directed towards the fact that I want to believe the militants will come on the negotiating table to discuss with government, place all their grievances on the table and talk over it. Because frankly speaking, I think that is the best option out of all this. Nobody would sit down and feel comfortable that fellow Nigerians are being bombed, whether they are militants or not. But let us face it, Yori. You would agree with me that it gets to a time when you push government to the wall, to a point where it cannot but react. Government needs the resources to meet its social contracts with the people. We are aware of what has happened in the last 16 years and the level of devastation that has taken place within our Commonwealth and resources. This is the only time we are beginning to have a government with the level of integrity that we can say, okay, let's count upon to see how much of damage control we can do to what has happened. Now, unfortunately for us all, oil price is going down. There is no other way to turn to because we have not taken the pain in the past 16 years to put any other sector in order to complement the oil sector. So here we are naked.
Neither were we saving for a rainy day,
Neither
apparently.
were we saving for a rainy day. So here we are naked, and our nakedness must be closed.
Yeah.
Whoever finds himself, I don't envy Mr. President, whoever finds himself in his position, sincerely speaking, is sitting on a time bomb.
Yeah.
Frankly. So I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the day, that is, if these boys don't come to the negotiating table. I am optimistic they will come. The leaders in the South-South will tell them and spell out the consequences of some of these actions, because face it, even the pipelines that have been broken and so on, it is your own people that first have the impact before the man in Abuja or we here in Lagos.
Indeed.
So I think all these details will be drawn to them that look, the best option is, since government is ready to talk, why don't we go and talk?
Because as Colonel said, it's an economic matter. I mean, you're hitting us where it hurts in our purse. And, but there still is this whole matter about they are Nigerians nevertheless. So I suppose patience cannot be limitless.
Yes, because Amnesty is watching and civil rights groups will soon come out. All over the world, when you are dealing with such issues, you are doing it for your own good. But because of the collateral damage, you also provoke international cry. If you remember, as bad as Boko Haram was, when we had an onslaught, Amnesty came in and people started saying that the Nigerian army was overdoing, was an overdrive, overkill. And so I sympathize with the army because it has to do what it has to do. And that is why the first thing in most cases like this, the DSS, the police, and the softer military forces, softer interventions are better off. Because when the army comes...
And those are the people that make up the JTF.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but the military...
The civilian JTF.
The civilian JTF. But
that now work with the military.
Yeah, initially, if they had used intelligence and they had gotten these people arrested and dealt with promptly on the spot, we're not where we are today. But the problem is when a wound festers, when a wound grows, it becomes cancer, or becomes a serious ulcer.
And much more difficult to
very
now
difficult
heal.
to do. By the time the army came, I tell you, there's a big difference between Arepo, Sawe, Igondo, and Niger Delta. And those are militants who claim to have a political strategy also, a political structure. And they can be described as men, NDA, whatever, Egbesu, and all those things. When I know, yes, but those guys that we're talking about here that are in the creeks of the southwest to south-south, they are more like as I said, economic adversaries who, because of the money they have made, have been able to, as it were, galvanize themselves and prepare for war. And if they are taken out, they should be taken out. But the point is, if you are going to now attack the Niger Delta militants, there's a great need, like he said, to first give them what you may call a deadline. We are ready to talk. If you don't, because these guys, if they find out that you are stronger than them and you are very ruthless, they will likely become also more ruthless. But they will likely surrender. But now there's an opportunity for you to discuss. There should be a window for discussion that may take, like, if they now know there's a deadline, and after a deadline, they see what has happened in the littoral states, in the southwest creeks, they will know that this time they are going to go. And it amazes me that most of these people have not held their local government chairmen, their state governors accountable. They've not held NDDC and Niger Delta Development accountable. Yeah. They've not asked for their 13% derivation. They've not asked for their UMPADEC and the NDDC. And then all you're going after is bombing. Is even the oil companies. The oil companies are paying royalties. They are paying taxes. They are paying income tax. They are paying pay as you earn. And then your local government is collecting money from NDDC and everything. Okay. And then your chiefs are also collecting contracts.
And so you're not facing all of these people and asking questions.
Yes.
Well, Ebuka, thank you very much for holding on. Ebuka is calling in from Kaduna.
Yes, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you. First of all, I must commend Nigerian military. They are trying, all right? But we should not forget there are many factors that are playing out here. These militants, let's start with that. They are not free to start. We can be very certain that we have graduates amongst them from Nigerian universities. You get, because when you watch out the tactics in which they do their carry out their bombing activity, some ammunition they carry out, and their tactical movement in attacking the military approach, these are factors that need to be considered. That is one. Two, there was this statement last time, or 2 weeks ago, that NNPC could start something around the Chad business about. Had it been Nigerians, Nigerian government, both past and present, have made plans to diversify the economy, we'll be talking about NEND and their whatever, because different will die electoral debt. Because Nigeria will have plenty other sources of revenue to fall upon instead of Niger Delta as the only milking cow That has left Nigeria at a checkmate point. You get? But at the same time, I would still want our government to come. Instead of the amnesty grants and all, look into the Niger Delta issue, set it once and for all. Don't be need for all these negotiations, Niger Delta terrorist attack, and all. If there are tangible developments in that region, don't you think it is better than using the military approach? Whether they want to negotiate or not, nobody needs to negotiate on what we done for them. Nigeria knows what is good for everybody. You don't tell you want to do roads. Let's come and negotiate on doing roads, which is our basic right. When you go down to Nigeria and do all these things, force their environmental pollution out, I'm not going to this present government. Anyway, I'm not. It has been piled up from time past. Previous government and all what else. All we do is talk. Negotiate. You don't negotiate with people when you want to develop the environment. Nobody negotiated with them when they want to go and explore from the region. Now there's exploration going on there, there's pollution going on there, you want to negotiate with them. You go down there and do the job. Let's forget about it. When all these things have been done, men will die in electoral death, so don't really there. There's development in other parts of the country, and there are infrastructures in other parts of the country. Why are they not agitated from there?
All right then.
And all that. Nobody's agitated. If there are tangible development in the region that is providing the money for the country, don't be for terrorist attacks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ebuka, for calling in.
Just a quick one. Sure. He's been talking about negotiation. This negotiation didn't start today. The government and we've been negotiating with the Niger Delta over decades. It was negotiation that led to UNPADEC. It was negotiation that led to 13% derivation. It was an attempt to improve the Niger Delta that led to creation of Bayelsa State and led to the creation of Akwa Ibom and led to the creation of Delta State. Now, all this have been created. The allocation to Bayelsa State alone, with a voters list of 400,000 people, is higher than many other states in the country. And yet we can't say Bayelsa State is developed. It doesn't take the federal government to develop a state. It takes the local government. It takes the state government, and it takes the oil companies that are doing their best. People have been employed, and now if most of these people in NDDC are as indigents of those oil producing states, and the MD ship, if I may call it that, of each of NDDC is rotated among these things. Now, what have they done? Exactly. And then you now have the oil royalties. Every oil company from Chevron through Shell to Mobil have what they call community relationship, community development things. And they're doing those CRS, they're doing those things. And then NGOs are there. Recently there was the cleanup of Ogoniland, for which the billions of dollars were awarded, and it has been flagged off. What else do you want again?
That is the sense of exasperation, no doubt, that the military is feeling. But you know what? We've got to take a break now. We'll take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, please. We'll be right back. We'll continue to take your calls. Okay, welcome back. We still got Dr. Modeli Boyo in the house, as well as Colonel Hassan Stanlabo, retired, and we're looking at the bombing and cleanup operation going on in the Arepo axis, 2 states between Lagos, also up to Ikorodu. And we're also looking at the possibility that this seems to be, drawing towards the Niger Delta becoming some sort of a theater as well. In fact, we are reading that they are actually thinking of forming a civilian JTF in the Niger Delta area, not unlike the same unit that was formed in the northeast in relation to Boko Haram. The idea of this is to get the local community also involved, get ex-militants also involved with a view to intelligence. And so it shows how serious. And the military have gone to inspect, as I said before, a camp that has been cleared up and furnished for troops that would be occupying if necessary. And we're all keeping our fingers crossed and hoping that matters won't get to that level. But you gentlemen have been saying government finds itself push through the wall. We can't go on, dilly-dallying forever. We have to sort this matter out one way or the other, and hopefully, with what we're hearing, there's an opportunity there. There happens to be a window. Whether the opportunity will now be taken is what remains to be seen. Maybe this is where all the elders, all the traditional rulers, and every person of goodwill now needs to come in and, shall we say, talk sense into the adversaries, as we have been referring to our compatriots in the Niger Delta. Maybe that's the next option.
That's just it.
Because if the military move in there, you never know where it's going to end. One of the issues that I think might have been helpful for it being resolved is the whole matter of who represents the Niger Delta. Now, I understand that an American, Dr. Judith Asuni, has become acceptable. So hopefully...
A Niger American.
Yes, a Niger American. An American of Nigerian descent, Okay. But I think they were trying to tell me someone is on the line. Hello? Who's there?
Hello.
Okay. Good morning, Barrister Omoro.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Yuri.
Good morning, sir.
Let me start it this way. The problem we have in Niger Delta is ourselves. Why do I have to say it this way? The reason is this. Those of us who went to school and we may have read all the books in the world, and we are in the upland, we don't live in the street. Sometimes when we come and we are asked to talk, we just say what we don't know. The truth about this is, Yuri, I have been following it, and I am speaking from the point of the position of somebody who is informed, more or less an insider. I'm an Isoko man. Isoko in Delta State is upland. My place is fairly developed, unlike those that live in the street. I give you a typical example. We all drive through Third Mainland Bridge to the island. You see those guys that live on top of water? Can you really compare the life they live and those of us who sleep in our house live? The difference is very clear. My brother and friend, Boyo, that name is a Delta name, and I'm very sure that is an Isekiri name. He forgot that the agitation in the Niger Delta didn't start today. The Willington Commission was there, gave birth to many people. Aziboro took it on. Aziboro died for Federal Republic of Nigeria. After Aziboro, Ken Saro-Wiwa took it up, all peacefully. Ken Saro-Wiwa was an environmentalist as well as a writer. How did it end? Abacha executed Ken Saro-Wiwa in 1995, precisely, I think, November 1995, before the rise of militancy in Niger Delta. How did it come about? The one-man march of Abacha in 1998. When my brothers from the street got to Abuja and saw what their money was used for, was what gave birth to these militants. Now, let me give you a quick proverb. Obazarewe Nogbaise, that is Olarotimi, wrote in Obazarewe Nogbaise that when a provoked houseboy cannot match the master's strength by strength, he names the master's favorite goal. And that is exactly what is going on. We are a few people. We are not in the majority. We cannot match the strength of the government strength by strength. What do? We will name the government's favorite goal. And what is the favorite goal? It is the oil in our region. I'm an Isoko man, and I'm in Lagos, hustling as a lawyer. If my area were good, I wouldn't be in Lagos. Now, to put an end to it, let us begin to see massive development. It is not the INDDC intervention or whatever name you are calling it. It's just like when you are driving through the Third Mainland Bridge to Lagos and you sit on the ocean there. Will it make any difference when you have larger water? The answer is no. The same way Abuja is developed to the level it is now, the same way the money from Niger Delta is used to develop Lagos to the level it is now, let government move. State government cannot fix it.
Local government cannot fix it. I tell you solemnly, in the words of Jesus Christ, if this oil were to be in the northern region, nobody will touch it. I am saying it, nobody. Now, just a quick one. You can see what the herdsmen are doing across the country. I grew up to know them to carry only bow and arrow. Today, herdsmen, they go on with AK-47. Nobody is talking about it. The whole Middle Belt is corrupt. Nobody is talking about it. I also know if you go to an average police station where you have northerners in charge, the ones we call Malam, we get to the police station, he will speak his Hausa language. Before you know it, that same person will walk out of that police station free. Nothing will happen. And you say we are one. I am in my mid-40s. I'm just a young man. Nigeria has never been won. Nigeria can never be won unless there is restructuring. I rest my case.
All right then. Barrister Omoro, thank you very, very much for calling in.
He mentioned my name. Maybe I should pass a word or two.
Okay. Since he said there were some things you failed to remember. And then he proceeded to elaborate.
Thank God he said he's in his mid-40s, so I'm sure I'm definitely more than 10 years his senior. So, and I've seen more than what he has saying. And my homestead is in the creeks and things like that. And I've never said the Niger Deltas have had a fair share of what they should have. I've only said a stitch in time saves 9, and a little drops of water make a mighty ocean.
Okay,
and if over the years, so much money has been given to us, we shouldn't only hold the federal government accountable, we should hold our leaders accountable, our royal fathers accountable, our local government accountable, that if the little they've received over the years, the impact was even felt in the cities, and we saw third roads. Local government can provide clean water. Local government can provide healthcare services. You don't need a teaching hospital in a village. You need a good healthcare service.
So what you've been saying is that legitimate self-help we have not even availed ourselves of in the Niger Delta.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. Despite all the resources sent there.
Should be directed at our local government.
I
don't mean anger in terms of killing them.
We
should protest to our state secretariat and say, look, man, you had a budget of the Bayelsa state budget is bigger than the Edo state budget, and they are smaller. River State budget is bigger than even Sokoto State budget. And what have you done with it? Can you tar all the roads in River State? There are state government things to be done. So we blame the federal government, like I said, from Wilkins Commission down to this time. But part of it, like I said before, we shouldn't rewrite history. We shouldn't rewrite history. Most of these things, like creation of states, ordinarily, Bayelsa should not be a state. Ordinarily, it is too small to be a state. It's not an attempt to justify all this that made Bayelsa to be there. Now, if you go to Bayelsa State, apart from Yanagua, how many cities do you have there? But then it is good it was given statehood. If the government of Bayelsa can develop Bayelsa State, and the federal government can now help, I'm not saying the federal government is innocent. They have been neglected, but let charity start from home.
Okay. That's the point that you were making,
yes.
And it's the point that Barrister Omoro was making. It's a point we've heard. He said trouble really started when Niger Deltans, took a tour of Abuja, for example, and saw what was developing there. And as he put it, it was our money. That's the purse of the federal government. We've also heard people talking in that vein, coming on a program and saying that. I think as late as Friday, that the whole Niger Delta region needs to be declared a federal territory. Then attention will be brought to bear on it. Then all of these complaints will go down. That's at least how, different strokes for different folks. That's how some people are saying it. As you are saying that, look, blame yourselves, look inwards. There are also those who are saying that this is not fair at all.
But are you aware that Abuja could be better than this? A lot of money used to develop Abuja went to private pockets. So being a federal territory will not give it all the best, except that people are sincere, honest, and also sit down to fight corruption.
That's it.
When the Buhari had issues with diverting money, his people defended him.
Okay, let's hear it from Ade calling in from Victoria Island. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Julia.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, please. The problem of the Niger Delta is actually from the people of Niger Delta. They need to do a lot of investigations from the days of Tinia Laibe. They need to do a lot of investigations. They need to set up panels. And I agree with Mr. Boyo. A lot have been invested in Niger Delta. They need to go back to the days of Timialai and the failed contractors, they need to go back to that. Please. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I think that was the only omission in the barrister's comment. I was waiting to hear him expose that aspect, you know, holding their own leaders accountable, you know. But somehow he escaped that part and was talking more about
if I live in Lagos and I'm living on the waterfront, or living right in the water in the lagoon, Third Mainland Bridge, he talked about there, and I see what is happening at Laos, and I see my governor living very big. I should begin to ask my local government chairman, I should begin to ask my state governor, when are you going to build houses for us? Yes. But be surprised. Have you remember the time that Fashola went to those houses at what is it, that place again? Behind, no, not Morocco, behind Unilag. I've forgotten the name now.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever. He got there, flat screen TVs were there. These guys love to live there. I'm not saying people that live in these areas love it, but we should hold, every state has so many local government chairmen, and we have state governors. We are not happy that the federal government is not giving enough attention, but we should hold our leaders accountable.
Well, what we're a bit concerned now is what the military are referring to as Operation Crocodile Smile.
After Awashe.
Yes.
Scatter. The one they are doing now is called Awashe.
Awashe, which
After
is an Hausa word for scatter. You know, now they've come up with Operation Crocodile Smile to engage what they refer to as recalcitrant warlords by the end of this week. You know, this assertion was last week that this is the next phase. So we hope that we all are keeping our time properly, and we know
I don't think they ought to have said that.
It's ticking down.
They ought to have kept it to their chests. When Osama bin Laden was to be arrested, nobody in the world knew until he was arrested.
Okay.
There are some things that when you say like that, you prepare them for further action, and before you know it, they will even attack you before you attack them.
Okay. Okay, we lost your call. I could see the colonel seemed to be confidently smiling there that if only people knew the Nigerian military, they would not play with the Nigerian military. Something like that, right?
You know, I have always said it that, look, there are two people you can't fight in your world. You can't fight God, and you can't fight government. However powerful you think you are, what amount of armament are you bringing to the battle space that government cannot bring 100 of that? But like it is, I keep praying on my knees that, look, let these militants come to the negotiating table. Pour out all your venom on the negotiating table. And you talk. You have a government that is ready to listen and negotiate with you. Seize on this opportunity now. Because frankly speaking, besides government, even other Nigerians are beginning to feel, what is your problem? You want to strangulate us? We know the oil comes from your area, but it belongs to the entire Nigeria. We can understand your situation. And if only you are coming to negotiate, fine. We could see how the situation could be ameliorated. But for you to want to strangulate us at this time that we have nothing else to fall back to.
And no doubt conditions...
Nobody would reason with you.
And no doubt mutually acceptable conditions can indeed be arrived at.
That's my question.
But please hold it. Let me just bring in Taufik, calling in from Oshobo. Good morning, Taufik.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
And good morning to my uncles in the studio. Mr. Yori, as a matter of fact, on this issue, I think the best option is on the table now for the Niger Delta.
The best issue, the best what?
The best option now is for them to dialogue. Because you see, there is no way, as a section in a nation, you say you want to save the nation. There is no way. It's not because the nation is being patient because they are with us. You can't tell me the Nigerian military cannot crush them. They can crush them. We are not praying for that. That is why we want them not to go into negotiation and fit whatever they want. And secondly, please, we are negotiating and making an amendment with the Niger Delta. I think the real people should come out and negotiate. I have what the mayor was saying, the one that comes from Lagos. You see, it's like the Niger Deltas, the elect among them and the educated among them need to restructure their mind. They should stop saying all this, they use Niger Delta money to build Abuja, to build Lagos, whatever. Please, every state has its own share from the federal port. They should challenge their leaders in their own state. What have they done with their money? None of them has ever challenged. They feel because it is their own territory. So because it is their territory, the leader must be using the money anyhow. Even if Niger Delta has been declared the republic on its own, they will suffer more than they're suffering now. And I can bet it because now they can't challenge their leaders. If the leaders are fully in charge without someone intermitting them, then they can do undo. So please, we're begging them. They should just let peace reign and let them negotiate with the federal government, and they should be proper.
Indeed.
Because the issue of the money going to the wrong hands, we don't want that. And they
Indeed.
should go for development, and that should go on. May God bless all of us. Thank you.
That's why I can suggest that if it was in other climes, how will this problem be solved? One, the state governors themselves should hold meetings because the state governors and the stakeholders, the community leaders, know these militants. They should begin to talk to them.
That's why they want to involve them in the civilian GTF.
Then what does the state government want? Is the Bayelsa state government, Delta state government, Rivers and Rivers and Akwa Ibom, are they ready to secede? Let us hear it. Two, why, if it was
not from all indications.
Yeah, if from other, even if they secede, they can't run they can't run as because they're desperate people. When I mean not desperate, they're different, disparate people. If you look at more developed countries, the military will not go in first. It's a failure, the weakness of our paramilitary that's causing all this, like surveillance. Like if you go with air surveillance,
well, you're calling it the weakness, but from the point of view of the military, especially when they're fielding questions over this whole issue, was that, I'm quoting now, the military has the constitutional duty to ensure peace in the nation, and whatever we will need to do to ensure that will be done.
Yeah, but if you started with surveillance at the beginning, when armory is moving, when people are moving, when bunkering is being done, when people are like all these pipelines have these days of trackers, for goodness sake, these days of trackers, pipelines can be made heavily sensitive with trackers, and you can know when these things are being done. If there's an inside and an NPC encouraging this busting of the pipeline, then of course why don't we go there first? And if we can study this, and the police, the security agencies, and with night, instead of bombing people, if night patrol is done and we're able to find these people daylight, night, and we're able to see where they are, and we go in and even arrest them, it will be doing service. We're doing ourselves good service before going to even deal with them. It was a failure to do that.
Yes,
to get results from that.
But
that led to the bombing.
Not knowing too much about it myself, not being a military guy, they say that all those options were explored, and that the militants are now, we've always said that guerrilla war is not the same as the conventional war. Yeah. They know the area, they have withdrawn to where they have become quote-unquote inaccessible.
It's because our security forces were compromised. Where in Nigeria is unreachable. If the security forces were not compromised, we are able to catch Dimka.
Okay.
We're able to catch people. We can know where these people are.
Before you come in, Colonel, I think Sabila is in Abuja and wants to come in on this conversation. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in, ma'am.
Thank you for having me. I just want to chip in one or two things concerning these Avengers.
Okay.
One, I want to ask them what they are avenging for, number one. And number two, somebody just thought that they are using their money to develop Abuja and Lagos. Do you mean their governors are also not receiving money from federal courts? Why haven't they used that money to develop their place? Mr. Yori, if you really go there, you will wait for them. But it is never federal government problem. Because those states are also receiving money from federal courts. If you remember, there was a time there was flood, I think about 3-4 years ago. Then I was still in Delta State.
Okay.
They paid them this flood allowance. What was that flood allowance for? Was it not to develop or to do to give to those people that the flood affected? Mr. Yori, that money was shared between the NDDC staff. Then I was still working in the bank. They smiled to the bank, those NDDC staff smiled to the bank to collect. There is no one that received less than ₦1 million. Then, but those people that were directly affected, those poor market women like you and I that was affected, never benefited from that money. And somebody is saying we should hold federal government accountable. Federal government will come and develop your state. You mean that Mr. Okowa did not receive any money from federal government force? He has never received. or the Uduaga that has gone on exile has never received from federal government, can Uduaga tell me or show me one or two roads that he did for Delta State? Not even healthcare for them. When I was carrying my first child, after I registered in a private hospital, somebody now advised me to go to a public hospital since it was my first child, which I did. If you go to their general hospital, you will weep. Not even a good toilet for you to urinate. As a pregnant woman, you know you are always stressed. Not even a good toilet for you to use there. You don't have cleaners that will even say, okay, let me put water there, and see you are calling federal government. Don't you have leaders that have been receiving billions and billions from government? Doesn't mean that we don't have educated people there. Now you are saying we should go and dialogue, and your elders are there saying they don't know the Avengers. Then who do not want us to dialogue with? You want us to carry the money and share within yourselves too, just like the way the Asaris and Co did. Even the Asari, all the billions that he has received, he went to open a university in another country. So is he saying that the people are not qualified to be educated, or is it that we don't have people who are interested in going to school there? So what are we not saying? For crying out loud, we should be wise for once. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fabilat. Really appreciate your call. I'm sorry I didn't hear your name properly, so I called her Sabilat. But it's actually Fabilat. Thank you very, very much. Yeah. There you go. What she said is that as a person in there, I'm not reading newspaper reports and talking to you about it. I've been there, I've done that, and the kind of things that she's explaining, it does sort of underlines the points that you gentlemen have been making. What has been done by the Niger Delta for the Niger Delta first? So we now see what is left and know that, okay, why hasn't federal government done this? But people, knowledgeable commentators are saying that maybe there's something not entirely kosher, not entirely fair about the way this whole thing is developing. If the federal government, nobody is saying look away from it, but if people are looking to Abuja, looking to Lagos, and saying that it is only when the Niger Delta becomes a federal territory, and a Shekiri leader joined us on Friday, I believe it was, and he made this point that until the Niger Delta becomes a federal territory, not much progress is going to be made. They also brought up the whole matter about when they say we're negotiating, who exactly are we negotiating with? I think they want to bring another person in. No, that's not what.
Why they're doing that, please? You see, when you say Lagos and Abuja have been developed, are the Lagosians, are the indigenous in Lagos, are they living in these buildings? Are there no poor people in Lagos? Are there no poor people in Abuja? You are talking about Abuja being developed. It's still the elites that are eating this money, that are still the elites in Niger Delta. If you give money to Niger Delta again, it's the likes of these elites that will build up 25-story building. At the end of the day, do you know that the poorest of the poor in Nigeria are still in the extreme north?
Indeed.
Do you know that the poorest of the poor in Nigeria are in Lagos too?
Yes.
There are indigenous of Lagos that don't have a plot in Lekki.
So we need to think about this problem. We've run out of time, but Colonel, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was just trying to react to one or two things.
Okay, very briefly, please, because no more time.
You see, the whole arrangement security-wise at the national level is such that once the paramilitary force is overwhelmed, the military is always invited in. Okay? Why am I saying this? Because there is this much talk at times about why is the military coming in now and not the paramilitary and things like that. The paramilitary has been overwhelmed. There's no how the paramilitary can face these guys given all the level of sophisticated weapons at their disposal.
So on a pragmatic level, there is some justification for the military to come in to prevent a total collapse.
Yes, and we should not misinterpret whatever the military is doing right now by way of training. Training in the military is routine. And the military has a responsibility to train in every part of the country to get themselves ready in case of any situation at any time.
And understand the terrain.
And understand the terrain and so on.
Well, thank you very much. As we've run out of time. It always happens, but thank you very much, Colonel Hassan Stanlabo, retired, our security consultant, and Dr. Amadili Boyo, public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming on, gentlemen, and sharing your perspectives. I'll be back tomorrow, God willing, with a fresh edition of the program. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.